Squid Game, the show that made Netflix relevant again for like a couple weeks, is being resurrected to roam the earth yet again. But they're not making a season 2, don't get your hopes up. They released a reality game show of Squid Game. The same thing Mr. Beast did like a year ago at this point. They did that. But instead of just directly ripping him off, they did switch up a couple things. They did exactly what he did, but they sprinkled in a couple extras. They said, you know what? Our contestants, they're going to get hypothermia as well as nerve damage. And now Netflix and the producers may be facing legal action because of these claims. So that's what I'm going to be yapping about today. Squid Game, the challenge, and the alleged gross incompetence and negligence that led to a couple contestants getting hurt pretty, not just mildly, pretty severely, just trying to compete in a fun little reality game show that has the largest prize in game show history at a whopping 4.56 million schmackaroons. And these claims of getting hypothermia and nerve damage apparently all stem from when they were doing the red light, green light challenge. This right here, I'll show you the clip from the little trailer.
Of life that keeps me alive.
Oh, shit.
And contestants who competed in this challenge have quotes of them saying that the conditions of red light, green light were akin to a war zone, and that at least one of the players had to be carried out in a stretcher. So it seems like they may genuinely be trying to recreate the actual Squid Game with how these people are getting injured in the competitions. And they say that the conditions during the red light, green light challenge were around like -3 Celsius. And they had to be there for hours and hours upon end. It's like a 5-minute segment in the reality show, but the players and the participants said they had to do that shoot for like roughly 7 hours before one of them finally crossed the finish line. And another quote from the same person who said it was like a war zone and that people left in tears said that even if hypothermia kicked in, people were willing to stay for as long as possible because a lot of money was on the line. And that there were people arriving thinking they were going to be millionaires, but they left in tears. And that is absolutely devastating. But the super messed up part is that when someone did finally have enough and they would yell medic, the crew would rush on and the people that were still participating would have to stand there for like 30 minutes between takes, they said, and that some were even crawling near the end. That is crazy. They made them stand still, not even be allowed to move, while they were doing like medical breaks to give medical attention to someone who was, you know, in need of it. Honestly, the more we're looking into this, it seems like the conditions were way worse than they were in the actual Squid Game show in that fictional universe. Like they at least had like a seemingly like a climate controlled, like sure they got shot if they got out, but at least they didn't have to experience hypothermia and stand there for like 7 hours. It just seems so negligent to me. If you're going to be like boasting this as the biggest prize in game show history, giving away 4.56 million US dollars, you could definitely afford to get some heaters in the spaces where you're going to be shooting for hours and hours upon end to make sure the contestants are comfortable. Because it seems like every single account of this situation, people are just in horrible conditions. Another contestant said, when we got there, it was freezing. Everyone was shaking. I don't think there were any heaters. But of course, if you ask Netflix and the people who are like the spokespersons for the Netflix people in this situation, they say, Netflix, Studio Lambert, and The Garden takes contributor care as one of its highest priorities, and regular toilet breaks, water, and food are categorically standard practice on production. And they also denied any of the allegations back in January that any of the contestants were seriously injured, but they did say that 3 of the 456 contestants did receive medical treatment for mild injuries. And the executive producer John Hay was even quoted as saying that the red light green light segment was a big complicated shoot and it was on a cold day and it took quite a long time. And he continues by saying, but everyone was prepared for that and looked after properly. We anticipated and actually strenuously tested everything in advance and made sure we took all proper measures. And then a second executive producer, they were playing like good executive producer, bad executive producer, because he told the outlet that the contestants knew what they signed up for in the competition and that it wouldn't be a cakewalk. You get hypothermia? Don't be a pussy. You're competing for $4 million. Be grateful that you had the chance to compete for this much money. You knew what you were signing up for. We told you you would get hypothermia and nerve damage. You're just being a baby. You want me to flop out my titty so you can suck on it, you big baby? It's crazy, man. And he continues by saying that Squid Game The Challenge contestants face moments that were quite tough, but not nearly as difficult as many other reality competition shows in the US, like Survivor or MTV's The Challenge, which contestants in those shows break bones and have to endure incredibly strenuous competitions. But to that point, I also have to say there is a wild difference in appearance between Squid Game reality game show and Survivor and The Challenge. Like in the Survivor show, you are well aware that you're signing up for very extreme situations, extreme circumstances. You know what you're getting into. With the Squid Game, The Challenge, 99% of the people going into that thinking it's going to be just a fun little time to potentially get a lot of money. These game shows just don't look anything similar. Like, at the fundamental aspects of these shows, they are wildly different. Squid Game The Challenge just looks like a fun time to potentially earn a lot of money. It just looks fun overall. And then shows like Survivor and The Challenge, you are well aware that you're going to be put in rough situations. Like, they're rough game shows. So you can't compare them to that just because contestants on your show got injured when they weren't supposed to. But apparently Netflix also said that all contestants were prepared by production several weeks ago that they would be playing a game in cold conditions and participated knowing this. All precautions were taken to ensure the game was played safely. Well, it would appear not, because people wouldn't be getting hypothermia and nerve damage if that was the case. But anyways, that's pretty much the whole situation. I did watch a little bit of the show, and I gotta say, Mr. Beast's version is far more enjoyable. It's also a much quicker watch. His show, it's like 25 minutes, and it was also 2 years ago. Crazy how fast time flies when you're getting old. I thought it was like a year ago. But this show just doesn't even stack up quality-wise to something that Mr. Beast put together. So just do yourself a favor. Don't watch the Netflix one. Watch Mr. Beast. It's free. You don't have to pay Netflix's constantly rising monthly fees that also have ads just to watch a mediocre game show when Mr. Beast did it for free. And also, by watching Mr. Beast's version, you'll be supporting someone who actually took care of the contestants, didn't put them in harm's way, and didn't put them in uncomfortable conditions just to compete for a game show. And you would think, since Netflix presumably had a much larger budget and all that kind of stuff, much more people involved, that they would be able to set up a much more comfortable and enjoyable experience than Mr. Beast. But no. So the score is 1 for YouTubers, 0 for Netflix. And if I had to guess, Netflix is probably going to keep taking L's as they're very accustomed to at this point. And other than that, I will catch you in the next one.